Welcome, everybody, to another Georgia Archery podcast. I'm your host, Big John Chandler, and this is where we talk about, well, anything and everything to do with archery in the state of Georgia and Georgia archers, wherever they may shoot. So it was a great weekend. We had a whole lot going on. It was a holiday weekend. So, I worked on a golf cart. That's what I did this holiday weekends. Worked on a golf cart, smoked some brisket, and worked on some golf cart to get it fixed so that it needed a lift. The tires were scrubbing. So that's what I did this weekend. So I didn't pick up a bow. I just hung out and worked on that and hung around the house. But the Appling Archers had their Bow Hunter Festival this weekend, and they had over 100 archers shoot over the 2 days thing. And it's a free event. You just go out and shoot a whole bunch of stick and stringers. They have a whole bunch of different saw blade shoots and long distance shoots and a bunch of different stuff. So they had a great time. On Saturday and Sunday, R&D had their normal shoot, and it was supposed to be a fundraiser for the Kentucky, I can't remember the name of the S3DA team that is based out of London, but they didn't have but 15 shooters, so they said they're going to try the next one to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do and try to get some more money raised. Sweetwater had an ASA qualifier, and they had 37 qualify and 16 shoot for fun. That was on Saturday. Also, the S3DA regional in Hartwell had 70 archers go out and shoot that event. So the S3DA, that's the last one before state. Not this weekend, but next weekend. And that's what happened this past weekend. And as you know, we've been trying to get Randy Davis, the state director for ASA, on the podcast. And so, without further ado, there he is. What's up, Randy?
Oh, nothing much. I'm glad to be here. And I apologize for not being here in the past. It just we had planned on being here for a couple of times, and it just didn't work out. So.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
There were very much reasons why you wouldn't. You were first off trying to make the London, Kentucky. The first week was trying to make the London, Kentucky shoot be a very well shoot, to clean up some lanes, that type of thing. Right?
That is correct. I went up with Scott Parrott and to help him out a little bit and stuff, and then look and see what all they had going on. We had to cut some new lanes. They're making before the tornado. They're doing a lot up there to make a lot of changes already.
Yeah.
And so we went up there and by the work they're doing, we had to move some stuff and then had to put in some new lanes.
Yeah.
So we was back and forth up there a couple of times with that.
That's right. And so then it was like, well, I was busy with that, and so be it, right? We knew that. And Alicia came on, and she tried to answer the questions as best she could. And we were live, so everybody got to bombard with questions and this, that, and the other. And, it's harder to answer questions when she mainly does is to make sure the shooter to year scores are put in correctly and are done.
Yeah, she done. Let me say, she done a great job.
For sure.
She's doing a great job with that because it's when I first talked to her about helping me out with it, I tried to tell her it could be a headache at times, and so because there's a lot to keep up with, a lot of people keep up with. And,
for sure.
On the podcast, she done very well. I was very happy with.
Yeah. And I think she did well, and she's been working her butt off doing that because it's just, that's a whole bunch of numbers, and then the first person goes, that ain't the right score, and that ain't my name, and why does this add up to that? Because the math that I have adds up this way, and so I understand the complaints that come with that. So what she's doing is not an easy job at all. To help you off of that, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I will say that we had a lot of questions brought up about the shooter of the year.
All right.
And one of the things were participation points. So
Yes.
I want to get your thoughts on participation points.
My thoughts on the participation points, and I'll get that word right in a minute. Uh, but it's the whole idea for the participation points are to uh, one uh, kind of help the shooters out, but it's also there to help the clubs because if typically if we go in and have shooter of the year and somebody gets ahead a good bit and knowing that they only got to have you know you know 4 shoots so to speak, and then
And
they
shoot
get
real well at 4 of them.
somebody goes in, and then you got some other shooters that want to go, and then
They're like, I can't catch up, so they don't go at all.
yes,
I
and that's what happened. They'll just say, "Hey, there's no chance of me going," and then so it gives them the opportunity to go, maybe make up maybe have a better score put in, and then also they get a couple extra points for going.
yeah, just for going and spending the time at a new club.
And then what that does is sometimes a lot of the shooters may not have been to other clubs, so it actually gives them opportunity to go see the other clubs, and then possibly, they want to come back,
Drive participation to the clubs. I understand that.
and then of the uh, at the end of it, it's the shooter of the year to me is two things. One is how that shooter performed through the year, and the amount of participation that helped all the clubs out throughout the year.
Yeah, without clubs, we wouldn't have a shooter of the year. I mean, if you can't have shoots, then you can't have a shooter of the year.
That's true.
And so I understand that, and I did state that I wasn't a fan of participation points because I'm not a fan of participation trophies, right? But
And
I understand that it was put in place to drive traffic to clubs that may not get clubs or get the participation from certain people.
yes,
And just like when we were talking on the podcast, I asked Dwayne because he hosted a qualifier, and he said 3 people came down. Well,
yes,
that's 3 more people that he wouldn't have had if it hadn't had
correct.
participation points.
And also Alicia, she said that there were at that time. I don't think she's posted the the scores up for uh, to get caught up for this week
Yep.
for year of the year yet, but or maybe she has. But uh, when that original podcast was in there, she said that they were 41, I believe, 40 or 41, 42 shooters that had been to most all or all the shoots.
At
And
least at least the club at least once. Yep.
at least, well, actually, we got, I think the last count I had was 200, I want to say 235 or 45
Qualified.
shooters that have qualified for the state shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and out of that, uh, I figure half of those people are probably that's all they're going to do is go qualify.
Yep.
Well, and if you take
I'm one of
the
those. I'm one of those.
and and, and,
I
and,
went
I,
and qualified.
and and that's a choice you got that most people make in the
Yeah,
beginning of the year is hey, I'm on, I look at it like I'm gonna go for shooter of the year this year.
that's right.
And out of that 240 people, if you take half of those people that's out there just to say, um, I'm just going to shoot one qualifier just so I'll be qualified to shoot the state.
Yep.
So that leaves you, say, 140 people or 130 people
Yep. That has done multiples.
that has done multiples. And if 40 of them have done at least most, if not all of them,
Mm-hmm.
that means that's a third of our shooters that's getting benefited from the extra bonus points.
Yep.
And that's kind of it's an incentive there. I think last year, it came down to we had I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 classes that came down, uh, the bonus points kept people in the running right up until the state shoot, and that's what we like to see. We like to see that competition in there. Uh, you know, to kind of keep people interested in it and keep them going. That's my take on it. I just
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to ask is like, I know that in years past, shooter of the year basic rules, right?
yes,
Came from up high and says you got to do this. And then states can tinker according to what works best for them. Is that still the same?
that the ASA does have um, a standard form that they typically want all the states to go by.
Mm-hmm.
Each state has the opportunity to change it and um, to do it a different way if they see fit, but it has to be approved.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and then previously Scott had it set up, and he tried to follow the same setup for 2 or 3 years, until he moved up. And then when I took over 2 years ago, this is my third year as the ASA Federation Director,
Yep.
and for Georgia, and then so the first year I just kind of followed his lead on that and went that way, and it was just the way we were doing it was just so time consuming to keep points up. I was struggling a lot.
I hosted state championship that year.
Yes, you did, and then and it was great. It was we
You know.
done y'all done had a great shoot,
Yep.
a great time.
But
Met,
I remember the points and trying to keep up with and this and that, and I remember that.
yeah,
So
and then so last year, so I decided last year I'm gonna try to do it a little different, so it'll be a little easier to keep up with, and
okay.
then, so we just decided uh, that we'd do 3 points for every shoot. So you're gonna get, uh, regardless of what shoot you go, which one you go through, and you get 3 points for all of them. So
So you didn't
everybody for the first four, and then my number of qualifiers went up this year by a couple, and that's the reason I went to four
to four
qualifiers.
four because you want to make it. If you got was it 15 qualifiers now?
Yes, I have 15 this year.
Yeah,
So
and so all you had to do is make four out of the
well,
15. You
they
figure on the national level that you only get to drop one, right?
that's correct. And then typically what I would have to do if I went by what they have written down from ASA is it should be at least half of those. So if if I went by what they had
You would
written,
have to have at least seven.
I'd have to have at least seven.
Yeah,
So
that's a whole lot of you know.
and it is it's a lot. Um, what I like to do is and they give me a lot of leeway to run it, kind of like I want to, and then as long as there's not too many problems involved. But so I basically try to base it off a third or around a third of the shoots. If I had 20,
Yep.
I'd probably go up to 6 or so.
Mm-hmm.
But since I come up with 15 this year, or originally I had 14, I said, well, we'll go a third of that is a little more than four, but
Yep.
I said four would be good. And
Okay.
except for the youth, I kept those at three.
Okay.
But we don't have as many kids shooting and stuff like that. And that's something we need to work at. I think
For
I'd like,
sure.
I'd like to get kids back into it.
Definitely. But yeah, there was some talk, and so I'll give you the suggestions that I heard. It was participation points at only one of the two qualifiers that you gave to different places, and the reason maybe that other people said is that way they would go somewhere else and get participation points instead of going to two that was close to them. if you needed to get participation points instead of the 40 that did everything, or the 25 or whatever that went to most of them. Some of those other guys will be like, well, then I'm not going to get any extra bonus points to go shoot Gainesville again, so I need to go shoot the next closest one or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was a suggestion that I thought sounded, at least it moved it in a different direction. So, and it still made people have to go to different clubs. So,
And yeah, and we can
oh,
look
for
at that,
sure.
discuss it later on, and
Mm-hmm.
on the year going into next year, stuff like that. I'm kind of uh, it's it's kind of hard to just come up with something that works great for,
You're never going to make everybody happy.
and
Never.
it's almost impossible to make everybody.
100%.
And you know, so and that's what we try to look at when we sat here and started talking about doing shooter of the year and how I wanted to change it and stuff like that. And then and I was pretty consistent from last year to this year. I didn't want to make any real changes from
And I
last
understand that you want to see how it works and then run it again.
year. And so with very little minor changes and stuff like that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the minor change, only really change that I made this past year was going from 3 to 4.
Yeah. But you
So,
had more qualifiers.
but I had more qualifiers, so
Mm-hmm.
that right there, gives that opportunity.
For sure. And then you did watch the podcast. So is there anything that you want to address that was said on the podcast or talked about on the podcast that you would like to address to, clean up any misconceptions or anything that was said?
Well, there was a couple of questions that come up that um, there was a question asked if if I actually talked to the other clubs and stuff like that, and then to try to get more people involved in it. In it, we have I think I have 11 clubs that's actually um, uh,
Register for ASA.
for the federation, Georgia ASA.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those, I think there's 2 or 3 clubs that I talk to every year, and they just for what for their own personal reasons they uh, decline having a qualifier, and you don't just because you're an a member of the federation stuff like that. It doesn't say that you actually have to be or have to have a qualifier.
No, it didn't. There's nothing that says you have to hold a qualifier. Yes, I
So
understand that.
so I try to and I do I try to reach out and talk to everyone about that and try to get them um, get them in. I got a couple. There's a couple other clubs that's in Georgia that I'd like to get signed up with us too and stuff like that. And it just it's well, they have their reasons why they don't want to.
For
And
sure. I
I
mean,
just
and some people are scared, right? They've never done it before. And they, the paperwork, the make sure that everything's correct. And I understand that, and I've had that in multiple organizations, right?
yeah,
So, like, I have offered to let a different club host an event, even though I was the host. In other
yeah,
words, so you can run it, and then I'll be the one that has to take the blame if something goes wrong, right?
yeah.
And so after they did it that way, they then it's the weight's off their shoulders, and it worked out well. So,
And it's and that's part of my job here is if they have any questions or anything I can do to help walk them through it like that. You
yeah,
know, I'm always uh, I'm always available. My phone's
it's
I get
hooked to your hip.
yeah I get phone calls at 10 o'clock at night from people from different clubs to individuals that want to know where we can go shoot and stuff like that, or what I got to do to to be a member and stuff like that. So I get calls quite quite a bit, and then and I'm open to that.
It's sort of like part of the job, right?
It is
You know,
it's you know
And I understand that, but yeah, as far as the calling other clubs, I answered the question. Yeah, nobody called me, but you didn't have to call me,
yeah,
right? We done talked about it. Scott knew about it. You
yeah,
knew about it. You understood that we were out of a piece of property.
yeah,
And we had a beautiful piece of property, and then things just didn't work out. And it was nothing that we did wrong. The gentleman decided to build a new building, and then he decided to build another new building. So it just pushed us off of that property.
yeah,
At this point in juncture, you may have seen that Ace is going to host a shoot. It's just going to be a 3D shoot
yeah,
with ASA type scoring, not a qualifier, not something like that. But they're going to do that. We're gonna do that on the 22nd of next month, and that's just to say, hey, maybe this place will work. Whether we're going to give a test run of the new place that have gave us permission to use it before we make a set schedule, and then things didn't work out. So we're sort of put your toes in the water first to make sure it's going to do what we need to do before we make a commitment. So
and I do. I hope it works out for you and stuff like that. And then you know, we're good about sharing
yep,
other stuff all the time. I try to for all the clubs, and I do on the Georgia ASA Federation page. The I try to share pretty much everybody's
yeah. I mean,
club
you
stuff
share
like
stuff that's not all just ASA. It's archery.
that.
I've seen you share like the GBAA stuff and the S3DA stuff, and because those are the same people that need to come, or that should
And,
shoot with us too. So I mean,
and
and
that's
that's
the way,
you know,
and that's the way I look at it too. Is
yep,
this that if we share it and get the information gets out there, some of some of the ASA shooters or
mm-hmm.
3D shooters will do some of the things y'all do, and then we try to just kind of move
Mesh it together. That's right.
information.
Move archery forward. Make archery great again.
That's yes, and that's what we want to do. And we want to make it, we want to grow it, and make it, get the information out there for everybody.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people that go that
Still.
shoot on a, go in their backyard and shoot and stuff like that.
Yep.
They don't
And
have
then
a clue
have no clue that there's tournaments local that they could get to.
where they could just go shoot and have fun, or use stuff like that. So I try to get
100%.
information out there and
Yeah.
just share stuff.
Is,
Uh,
is there anything else from the podcast that you want to bring up or answer, or that I know you probably had a few things, and we've had a few times to think it over and make sure that we covered what we wanted to cover. So,
yeah, the I don't guess really. We've I've I've had a conversation with you in
yep.
the past. And it's nothing,
Okay. I just
nothing
want to make. I want to give that
or anything like
opportunity
that.
to make sure that everything is
Yeah.
talked about, because the second time that you were going to be on the podcast,
Yeah.
there happened to be this little twister thing
Yeah. 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 So
for. I mean, they don't rate them to 5, right? And this was a 4 that came right through
and then
London.
yes, and then and I got to go to London, and then because we had when we left there, we had some of our equipment and stuff like that. Had
Yep.
The side by side was up there, the trailer was up there in the building and stuff. So, and it literally just devastated that whole place. And then, uh, and the bad part about that is, you know, it that tornado went through residential areas,
Oh,
and
it did. It tore some
it,
houses to
it,
nothing.
and then if you go up there, what you see, and you actually go up there and see in person compared to pictures and stuff like that. I mean, when we first was riding up through there and crossed, uh, it literally come across I-75.
Mm-hmm.
I got chills and my hair stood up on my arms just looking at it. Is the devastation. So The fairgrounds and everything was definitely tore up really bad and stuff like that. And then, uh, but that's not it at all. It's the
No,
people.
that's just a piece of the puzzle. I mean, residential neighborhoods that are no longer there.
Yeah,
And I saw it. I mean, I seen a drone, and it looked like, I mean, an 8-lane road had just, like a bulldozer had just pushed straight through everything, and it's wide. It wasn't like, sometimes you see, and it hits this house, misses that house, and it jumps around. This looked like it was a freaking steamroller that just rolled straight through the place.
well, I want to say that we were told that it stayed on the ground for 18 miles.
18 miles. That is ridiculous.
Uh,
But the
um,
reason that I pushed into that, because I figured we were about done with the shooter of the year and, how it's going to go. If you have a question about shooter of the year, or if you have a complaint or a comment, Randy has said, he just said it, his phone works. Call him, send him an email, send him a message. He'll answer you.
yeah,
And answer you to the best of ability he can. And if he can't answer it, he'll find somebody else that can help answer that question too. I do know that for a fact because we've been there and done that with some different things in the past. But the reason I brought that up is because this podcast wouldn't be happening today if there was no tornado, because we know where you would be right now.
oh yeah,
I mean, because today's Wednesday, right? Y'all have been setting courses, and the practice range would already probably been open today.
yeah.
So
We'd be up there, and then, but um, yeah, because we typically go up a little bit early, stuff like that.
that's
Uh,
right.
most of there's part of the crew always goes up like the weekend before to
Mm-hmm.
shoot. And the way that all works out, it's everything just has its own little procedure and little
That's
setup
right.
where it all gets done, and then ton of work. But
Unload the trailer with all the targets and this, that, and other. So I understand how that works. But since there didn't have that, and this was an open weekend, because nobody plans to shoot on an ASA weekend, right?
we don't.
For the most part.
Yeah,
Scott
and then,
Parrott over at RBO has decided that he is going to do a fundraiser shoot with 40 targets.
yes, we're gonna set. We have them set now. We finished up
Yep.
setting the other range today. We have two ranges. We have, and you've shot there before. We
Yes,
got
sir.
one up on the hill and one in the bottom.
I figured at 40, that's where you're going to do is half and half. Yeah.
So it'll be kind of similar to Kentucky, kind of
Yep.
deal, where you got the bottom, you got up on the hill.
Okay.
Everybody always loves to shoot up on the hill.
Yeah, of course they do. We're gonna leave that alone. But
But,
I haven't. I had a pretty good time last time when we went halfway through. Some of it was on top, some of it was on bottom. I had a pretty good shoot that weekend. The last time I went through. But also he's done to do some other things. Right? He's given away some stuff.
That's correct. This is it's going to be 100% fun shoot. Everything for the shoot, go, all the proceeds out of this shoot goes to Kentucky.
Yep.
Uh, everything, donations. We're going to have raffles. We're going to have. Um, I think we're going to have like a silent auction.
Okay.
Um, we got uh, we got some stuff that Anthony Centigram. He's got uh, some air rifles
Yep.
that we got in. Is going to do a raffle or some sort
So
on.
for the airsoft. Yep.
Yep, and then let's see what elite. We're gonna give away a elite bow. Um, let's see what else. Um, just, there's going to be a lot of just a lot there for
To raise some money to send it back
send
to
it back.
London.
So it's I think it's going to be a really good shoot. Hopefully, we can get a lot of people out.
I
The
hope so. I hope so too. I mean, that's the thing is we want to make sure we get everybody, and that because this would be the weekend that you had booked to go to the ASA. So you're here, so you might as well shoot 40 targets, right? And
that's
and money goes to a good cause in the process. One thing I will say is that there's rumors, right? Always rumors. We're not going back to
oh
London.
Oh,
ASA is going back to London. There's
we'll
no
be
doubt
going
about
back.
it.
Yes, we will be going back next year.
Yes.
Because probably for the next 3 or 4 years, actually. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, but the whole thing with us going up, stuff like that, or me going up with helping with Scott is uh, the amount of work that the changes that were going to be in place now. They still, if we got up there this coming
It
weekend,
would still, there would be some new stuff going on that people hadn't seen before.
whole new parking lot.
Yep.
Just a lot of stuff going on, and they're working really hard. They were pushing; it was going to come down to the wire to get a lot of stuff done. But it's and then going into next year when we
It
go
was going to
back,
be even more stuff.
there's should be a whole new pavilion up.
Yep.
Uh, so it's and they are working really hard because they really enjoy us coming out because uh, we help them as much as they help us.
That's right. Well, the city, I will say, has always been in my opinion, one of the most welcoming cities. Every restaurant, every motel, every place you go into, they know you there for an archery tournament, and they welcome you in with open arms. Right?
That
It's
is
always been that way. Um, and so for ASA, and then at one time we were like going to move to a different location and not go to London. Was going to do the Tennessee thing, and that didn't work out. We understand that,
yeah,
but London decided, okay, what do we need to do to not have you try to go somewhere else? And that's what they have kicked in with different things, right? To
yes,
make it even a bigger and better shoot for people, right?
yes. They really want us to be there. They
Yep.
want to push for us to be there, and then because, um, uh, like I said, it works out both sides. They help us out, and they they really got a bunch of great people up there to help us out, stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they do. Um, Pretty much anything we can kind of ask them to do if there's stuff we need, stuff like that. So,
So
uh,
is RBO going to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
no, it's just going to be Saturday and
Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, I just
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
could be 8 to 2 or
Yeah,
maybe
this is
8
normal, 8 to 3 maybe or whatever it is. Yep.
but
You can if you're going to try to shoot all 40, you got to get in by 1 or something. Yeah, I know that's what has happened in the past. So,
and then, well, if it's on Saturday, if
yep.
you want to shoot all 40 on Saturday, we'll 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 get you let you shoot and stuff like that. We're
Hmm.
really good about that anyway to make sure that you know because we want everybody. I'm part of RBO.
Yes,
I'm,
sir.
um, uh, I think we all want everybody to come have a good time, enjoy themselves while they're there.
That's true.
Uh, I'm really happy with everything we got going on and stuff. We got a great group of people, and it takes. And
Oh,
that's
it,
the thing.
it takes an army.
Sometimes, some people don't realize what it takes
It
to
takes an army,
host an event and stuff like that.
no doubt.
It's and definitely uh, a lot.
Selfless dedication to do it for sure.
So, and we enjoy doing it because uh, we get to see everybody, and then
That's right.
yeah, so that's what it's the fellowship and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's as much about archery as there are anything else.
That's a fact. Well, I didn't know if there's anything else you would like to add, Randy. If let's um, how many qualifiers we done with it? We got one more left,
No, we should
two
have.
more,
Is it
three
two?
more.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if
I don't have the list, so
I got a list right here. What's today's date? Um, the 28th. Um, we should have. Uh, got Big Creek Archery Club, which started out this year,
yep.
new club. Then we got Team on Point, where the state championship will be, and then and Dwayne will be hosting the last one.
Last one of the year. Okay,
Yes,
so that's three.
got 3 more. Yeah.
So yeah, 3 more before the state. So
Before.
I
Yes, sir.
couldn't remember what it was. I haven't kept up with it because I wasn't chasing the shooter of the year, and I just didn't have, because working every Saturday, it's hard for me to go anywhere and anything. You see any deer out there? I know you looking. There's some deer out there. You deer
Now,
hunting?
they probably, yeah, they should be right there. I had to close the screen. I was, when I come in here and sit down, they was like 9 standing out there in front of my window.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so be sure to go out and support, you
Yes.
know, RBO this weekend. Not so much for RBO, but for London, Kentucky,
This,
because
this, this,
all 100% of the proceeds going straight to help London as the city and help him,
this is, this is
recover.
definitely for London, Kentucky,
Yep,
Kentucky goes
100%.
100%.
And then after that, go to the qualifiers that are coming up. There's 3 left before state championship, and I think I'm going to have Jake on in a week or 3 so that he can talk about the state and what he's plotted to do to have state championship. So
Yeah.
I mean, we've mentioned it, so it all depends. You know how those things go, right? We plan something and it never works out.
It doesn't work out. And like I
No,
said,
doesn't work
I,
out at all.
like I said, I apologize for not making it the last 2 times. Things, just kind of didn't
Yep.
work out that way. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the stuff you couldn't. I mean, one thing just had to happen, and the other thing was like, well, now it has to happen. So it's understandable and no big deal. But we appreciate you coming on today, and clearing up anything. And you can find Randy on Facebook. He's got an email, and all of his information is listed on as the state director on the ASA website. So if you need to find that information, you can find it pretty simple.
and then said if you got people on Facebook, they can go to the Georgia ASA Federation page
That's right. Message.
and or message me there.
Hmm.
And then if they need to call me or whatever, just my number's in there somewhere. So
For sure.
it just anything at all. Anybody can call me anytime.
Okay.
And then there was one thing about getting together and having. I forgot about this about having a meeting at the end of the year.
Yes,
I,
sir.
I would love the idea of all the clubs getting together and having a meeting at the end of the year. It's kind of hard to get everybody together.
Well, a lot of those guys show up to the state championship.
Yep, and then
So,
maybe we can, like I said, I'm open to talk about pretty much anything. But when it comes down to it, I have to make choices that I feel like is the best uh,
for
for
sure,
going on.
for the masses, right?
Yes, and then
Well,
sometimes people just don't agree with it. But
oh, well,
like I said, but some people benefit from it, and then. But I believe if as far as qualifiers go, or shooter of the year, that's something you make a choice, earlier in the year whether you want to go for shooter of the year.
for sure.
You make that, and I've had several shooters come up and tell me, yeah, we're going to do them all this year because I just want to push through. I want
Yep.
to go to all the clubs. I want to do all of them. And
Okay.
that makes me feel great right there.
That's a good thing. Yep, for sure.
People that are want to have that dedication to help all the clubs out.
That's all right. Well, you can find Georgia Archery on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snappy Chats, on X, on everything under the sun that's social media. You can search us. This audio will be pushed out to your favorite podcast app because we're listed on most all of them. This video will go up on YouTube and on Facebook as a link to watch it on YouTube. And I appreciate your time very much. If you have something you want me to add to the calendar or something you want us to talk about, send me a message. You can info@georgiaarchery.com. And, if you have something you want to talk about or something you want to see, just let me know. Randy, I appreciate your time. I hope you have a great one. I'm not sure if I'll see you this weekend or not. It just depends on how things go for me, if I get on that end of the world or not. So, but
We love to have you, and then I appreciate you letting me be on here,
not a problem.
and
All right. Well, until next time, take somebody, teach them how to shoot a bow. I'm Big John. That's Randy, and we'll see you.